Welcome everyone, my name is Rigel and welcome back to Review and Preview, the series where I take a look at the national finals the week past and take a look at the national finals in the week coming. But obviously in this case we don't really have a lot of national finals to preview anymore, so here I'm going to take a look at the last 2 weeks in terms of national final content and also just Eurovision related stuff more generally. Now, last week I previewed the first week of March, and now I am actually recording this from my hotel room in Stockholm. So we just had Melodifestivalen and Festival de Cancao conclude. So yeah, let's take a look at these 2 weeks, starting with the fifth heat of Melodifestivalen. Now, in the fifth heat, we had Medina and also Marcus and Martinez qualified direct for the final. No one was surprised. That was pretty much what everyone expected to happen, to be honest. And then the two that went to the not semi-final, the second chance round were Annika Vickehalder and also I think Jay Smith. Those two were the two who went to the second chance round in the vote, basically because they were third and fourth in the semi. And well, after the show, they immediately had the final qualification round, and surprise, surprise, those two actually just won the whole thing because people don't have a memory in Sweden, apparently. But no, real talk. I don't know why they did this. Like, there's a lot of outrage even in like Swedish media about this. It's just an entire disaster because they have the second chance round like immediately after the fifth heat, and then the ones that are most fresh in their minds are obviously going to be the ones from the fifth heat, unlike if they had a separate round which went maybe like a week after all of the heats, and then people would have more time to digest all of the finalists, or digest the songs of all of the it's like semi-finalists. So yeah, I think it's just not a great format change, if you ask me. Better to probably just either have the qualification round on a separate week, or just don't have it at all, and maybe just have 3 songs qualify from each heat to the final. So yeah, I don't know what they're thinking with this. A lot of people were expecting Gunilla Persson and also Fröken Snusk to qualify for the final. And speaking of those two, though, there's been this very interesting character arc happening in Sweden with these two. At first, they were like mortal enemies, or at least Gunilla Persson, upon the announcement of all the participants, was like, Fröken Snusk has a weird name. And, you know, throughout the whole Mellow season, there's just been this kind of rivalry between the two. And the weirdest thing was when Fröken Snusk visited an old person's home to perform her song Unga och Fria, and then Gunilla Persson also performed not at an old person's home, but she performed somewhere, and then Fröken Snusk also went and performed at that place. And then when neither of them qualified for the final, they actually kind of made friends. So there's just this really interesting character arc going on here in Sweden. But yeah, that was Heat 5 and a qualifier round where we just saw basically the third place and fourth place of Heat 5 go to the final, which were Annika Vickehalder, and Jay Smith. So yeah, that's what happened with Heat 5. And then we move on to Iceland, where we had the final of Söngvakeppnin 2024. Now, like I mentioned in the previous episode, Bashar Murad sang his song in English, which is called Wild West. And Vibe were the only ones to actually sing their song in Icelandic. They sang Biomind instead of Movie Scene, I believe was their song in English. But the two that ended up in the super final were actually Bashar Murad and Hera Björk. Now, I can't remember whether I talked about this in the previous episode, but there was this campaign by an Israeli group that, and I quote, tries to manage the conversation between Israelis and Icelanders, and they were campaigning for Hera Björk to, or rather, they were campaigning for people to vote for Hera Björk against Bashar Murad, so they wouldn't have Bashar Murad going to Eurovision. Well, now I don't know how much was of their doing, but it seemed to have worked. Because, like I mentioned, Bashar Murad and Hera Björk were the two who ended up in the super final, and in the end, as a twist that most people didn't expect, Hera Björk had won the selection. So this was immediately suspicious, of course, because there were a lot of reported issues with the voting. First off, a lot of people, for some reason, when they tried to vote for Bashar, it would actually link to the number of Hera Björk. Afterwards, it was also found that the Hera Björk's number was listed as just a normal number, but Bashar Murad's number was listed as a potential spam number. So that's very, very strange. And then sometimes I think I read that some people just wanted to text and vote for Bashar Murad, and that just wasn't possible. Like, it just didn't send at all. So yeah, there were a lot of issues and a lot of suspicious things. I'm not sure how the case is going now, but it's not every day that you have Iceland as one of the more suspicious national finals of the season. Although that said, this actually isn't the first time they've had controversy. But anyways, yeah, Bashar and also Einar from Hatari actually made a little appeal to RUV to check the voting procedures and such, and they checked themselves and said it's fine. Of course, that's them checking themselves, and some other organization also requested some sort of inspection or something like that. But yeah, I'm not really sure how that's going. And right now, according to Icelandic locals, the most likely outcome for Iceland, believe it or not, is withdrawal, because one of the songwriters for Hera Björk's song actually came out and said that she doesn't want Iceland to go to Eurovision with Hera Björk, and she actually submitted a request for Bashar Murad to go this year and then to have Hera Björk for 2025, but this was apparently rejected by RUV. And if you go to the Eurovision 2024 website right now, you'll find that of all the countries, Iceland is the only one where the representative is still TBA. Now, this is because of something that happened earlier in the season, due to, I guess, pressure from the public. It was announced that they would basically, for the time being, disconnect Söngvakeppnin from Eurovision, and it would basically be down to the discretion of the winner of Söngvakeppnin whether they wanted to go to Eurovision or not. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people were convinced that because Hera Björk had said that if she won, she would go to Eurovision, many people believed that this was just a formality and that eventually Hera Björk would go to Eurovision. But it was actually found later, despite suspicions, it was found actually that Hera Björk had been following a pro-Palestinian page on Instagram, and so there is a chance that since Israel has now confirmed participation, she wouldn't want to go to Eurovision. So I think that's why a lot of Icelandic locals are saying that Iceland is probably going to withdraw from Eurovision 2024. So yeah, that's Iceland. There's a surprising amount of controversy with Iceland this year, but yeah, tentatively they have selected Hera Björk, but it's not entirely certain whether Hera Björk wants to go to Eurovision. So with that said, let's go to something a little less controversial, but still very controversial, and that is Serbia with their national final, Pesme za Euroviziju. Now, as the show led up to the conclusion, it became clear that there were really two choices. The first one was Teodora, and the second was Breskvica, or rather choices for the Serbian people. Because it seemed clear that these two were the big favorites. And it turned out that they were correct. Teodora actually came out on top. She won the jury and came second in the televote. And I think, on the other hand, Breskvica won the televote, but only got like 5th or 6th in the jury or something like that. And so obviously Teodora won that battle and will now represent Serbia in Eurovision 2024. You'd think that'd be the end of the story, but there's a lot of controversy around this. A lot of hardcore nationalist Serbians are now claiming that the show was rigged for Teodora, and they were saying that basically it had been rigged against Breskvica, who had been singing a song that basically sung, depending on one's interpretation, it could be interpreted as singing for Serbia to retake the land of Albania. So, that's a little disconcerting, but it seems like a lot of hardcore nationalists, they agreed with the message, including people from the clergy, to the point where actually Breskvica usually doesn't even wear, church-like clothing, and she put on some of that for her performance at Pesme za Euroviziju. And, there's been like petitions and everything to try to remove Teodora from the position of Eurovision. But I don't think the broadcaster is really budging. I don't think it's really going to happen. But there's been a lot of controversy over Teodora having been selected as well. Mostly from just hardline ultra-nationalist Serbians. Again, tentatively, but this is probably a much more firm one. Teodora will be representing Serbia with the song Ramonda, which is great because it's a ballad and we really don't have a lot of those this year. So yeah, that's Serbia, and then we had the second semifinal of Festival da Canção in Portugal. Now, I'll be honest, I did not watch this. I don't think a lot of people actually did watch this, but like I predicted, I was correct in saying that Yolanda's position as the favorite was not really affected at all. So unfortunately, again, I didn't watch this. I can't really provide any insightful comments for you. So plus we already know the final results of Festival da Canção. So yeah, here we are. Let's move on to Australia, actually, where they have announced, on the 5th that Australia this year will be represented by none other than Electric Fields. Now, if you remember, Electric Fields was one of the great favorites in, I believe, Eurovision Australia Decides 2020. where they sang a song called 2000 and whatever. That's literally this name. That's literally the name of the song, 2000 and whatever. And they were actually a big favorite in Eurovision Australia Decides 2020 because they were bringing kind of indigenous Aboriginal representation. Possibly to the Eurovision stage. Now, they didn't win, obviously, but they have been a favorite and have been on the radars of many people for several years since then. And now they've finally been selected to represent Australia in Eurovision 2024, and they will be singing a song called One Mil Kali. And in this case, they continue with their Aboriginal representation. I unfortunately can't remember the name of the Australian Aboriginal language that they're using, but they do sing in that language. I'm pretty sure One Mil Kali, the word Mil Kali, is actually in that language. So yeah, I think it means heart. So actually, the full name of the song, I believe, is One Mil Kali, One Heart, or One Heart, One Mil Kali, or something like that. But yeah, they will be singing that song in Malmö this coming May. So yeah, Australia will be represented by Electric Fields with the song One Mil Kali. So if that's it, let's move on to Greece, where we finally had the release of Marina Sati's song. Now, when you look at the songwriter list, it's very, very long, and one speculates that this is probably because they merged like several songs together, at least in terms of the elements. I haven't listened to the song myself, but according to what I understand, it's actually staying pretty true to Marina Sati's own style. And it's got a lot of like ethnic elements to it, and so even the bookmakers have been saying like we don't know how well this will do because it's just never been seen at Eurovision. And also I believe it's fully in Greek, or at least mostly in Greek. And anyways, the song is called Zari. I don't know why it hasn't been mentioned here, but the song is called Zari, and it means dice. That is the plural of die. That is the little numerical cubes that you use at like casinos or board games and such. So yeah, her song is called Zari. It was released on the 7th, aka 2 days ago as of recording this. And it's been a huge hit in the Eurovision community, although the release date was a little bit unfortunate, for a reason I'm sure we're all aware of. I'm not going to mention it, but still the song has been a huge hit, and it's actually been a little bit interesting because the thumbnail and also the music video are all very, very retro. Like literally, the thumbnail is like, I think, referencing all the way back in like the 2000s. It's got a very distinctly early to mid 2000s style, and that is absolutely intentional, and I love that style. I love that they decided to reference it here, the campness of the whole thing, and even the music video as well. There's like different parts, but one part that I keep seeing on my timeline is Marina Sati and some dancers singing in the kitchen where the stove is like burning, and then on the side there's like little tourist guide things. And yeah, again, the whole thing just harkens back to like the early 2000s, and it's just a great bit of camp. And I've heard that the song is great as well. So yeah, that's Zari by Marina Sati that will represent Greece at Eurovision 2024. So with that said, let's finally move on to the last national finals of the whole 2024 season, starting with Melodifestivalen, aka the one I went to. Now, the vlog is going to take a while to come out. I haven't even edited Tampere yet, so that's going to be a while. But yeah, I went to Melodifestivalen. Again, I'm recording this from Stockholm. Actually, my hotel is in Solna, which is kind kind of the vague region near Friends Arena. I'm pretty sure Friends Arena is in Solna as well. And yeah, I'm actually here in Solna in Stockholm, and even despite that, though, it still take like more than half an hour to actually get there. But oh well. Yeah, I could talk about Mello right now, but I've already done a ton of that in the vlog, so you just have to watch that to kind of see what I think of the whole show. But TLDR, I got way too much popcorn, and also I didn't actually sit in my planned seats. But the show was still very, very well produced, even though the songs were all pretty damn mid. My favorite was Jacqueline. But yeah, Jacqueline and Dotter were robbed, very, 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 very robbed at the end. And Marcus and Martinez won to absolutely no one's surprise. So yeah, they were getting like almost double the points in the jury of the runner-up, and I believe they got like 80 something jury points and then 92 televote points. So yeah, absolutely insane. Is that a clean sweep? I'm not sure. It might be a clean sweep, or it might be just very close to a clean sweep. But yeah, like across all the age groups and such. But yeah, I had a great time here in Stockholm, even despite that. My favorite was, like I said, Jacqueline. But another thing about Marcus and Martinez is that I thought that Air was actually just a better entry all in all. And yeah, I think last year had Loreen not been in the competition, I probably would have been very happy for them to have represented Sweden, because I thought the song was actually pretty solid, even though their voices are a little annoying. But yeah. In any case, Marcus and Martinez have a little bit of a cult following in Sweden of little girls, or teenage girls at least. And one of those is actually one of my friends, so maybe I shouldn't talk crap about them that much. But still, yeah, that's Melody Festivalen. Dotter and Jacqueline got robbed. I don't know why Jay Smith is in the final at all. Lisa Ajax is heavily pregnant, and Medina, I believe, came second, and maybe in the next few years, Sweden could send a song in Swedish to Eurovision. But this year, instead of that, they will be having Norwegians represent Sweden on home soil. So it's technically not even home soil for the Norwegians. So yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, Marcus and Martinez will now represent Sweden in Eurovision 2024 with the song Unforgettable, and it's pretty safe to say that they are not winning the contest. So with that said, let's move on to Portugal, where we had the final of Festival de Cancao, and yeah, as expected, Yolanda took the whole thing. Although not as convincingly as I would have expected. She won the entire jury pretty much, or actually at least just got very, very high points from pretty much every jury. And in the televote, surprisingly, she did not win that. The winner of the televote was actually João Borges, who was also another favorite in this election, but I think people were thinking basically either him or Yolanda, and actually he won the televote, so he was surprised as well, as I saw from like a little reaction video that I saw someone filmed in Portugal. But yeah, Yolanda did get second in the televote. So yeah, second in the televote, first in the jury, and she has won the selection. So now Yolanda will be representing Portugal in Eurovision 2024 with the song Grito, featuring very, very strong vocals and actually very interesting dancing that surprisingly works with this kind of ballad. Usually this kind of weird dancing doesn't really work with ballads. See Croatia 2022, I think. Yeah, they had some weird dancing there and it did not work. But here, I think it really does work. It really shows the kind of rise and falls of the rises and falls of the song, and so I think it really works. And again, Yolanda just has really great vocals, and she pulls off a very strong long note without breaking a sweat. So yeah, Portugal will now be represented by Yolanda with the song Grito in Eurovision 2024, although just this morning, as of recording this, a number of Portuguese artists and basically workers in that industry have written a public letter to call for Israel to withdraw from Eurovision 2024 and said that Portugal should withdraw if Israel doesn't. So we'll see how things pan out with that. But tentatively, we will have Yolanda representing Portugal with Grito in Eurovision 2024. So after that, what do we have for the rest of the month? Well, first off, on the 11th, we will have 2 songs released. The first one is Albania. Now, you might remember that Bessa won Festival Ikangis back in December with a song called Zemrendor, and basically, she's revamped that to Heaven and Back. And I say that because in the tiny snippet that she shared, it sounded completely different. And later, she revealed that the song is now completely in English and it's called Titan. So we'll have to see what happens. And I think in this case, it is pretty much just like an entirely new song. So yeah, again, we'll see what happens with that. And speaking of these songs being released, we also have Georgia. Finally, we will have Georgia, who revealed their representative a while back, who is Nuta Budzaladze, who will represent Georgia with apparently the song Firefighter. Now, this is interesting, and the song was actually written by Darko Dimitrov, who has written a number of Balkan Eurovision entries in the past, including, I believe, Loco Loco, and also some other ones that I can't remember from Serbia and North Macedonia. So, yeah, it was found that recently Nuta had actually traveled to North Macedonia to work with Darko Dimitrov. And yeah, so the Georgian entry this year will be co-written by a Macedonian songwriter. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And then after that, sometime this month, we will be getting the songs from Armenia and Azerbaijan. Now, first off, I think just today or pretty much today or yesterday, Armenia randomly announced that they will be represented by Lada Niva, who is basically a fan favorite who has been requested for several years now at this point. They are a French-Armenian duo. I believe the lead singer is French, but the producer of the duo is actually Armenian. So yeah, there's that. But they've been producing a lot of ethnic sounding music now, and they've been a favorite for Eurofans to represent Armenia in Eurovision at some point, and finally it has come true. We don't know what their song is called yet, but we just know for now that Lada Niva will be representing Armenia in Eurovision 2024. There's also been other rumors, but I also read today that a bunch of them were just made up. So yeah, that's Armenia. And then we move to their arch nemesis, Azerbaijan, who will be represented by Fahri, or Fahri. I don't really know how to pronounce it, but yeah, in the final selection, it was between him and Isel from 2018. She had come back with what some fans affectionately call the worst beat of all time. But yeah, the other song was Fahri's song, and this is already problematic because there's actually one line in there that's called like "I return to my land," and in this case, it's actually referring to Artsakh. So yeah, I'm not gonna elaborate on that any further, but yeah, at the end of March, we will already have our next pre-party. I mentioned next because technically we had a pre-party yesterday on Friday, the Melfest weekend pre-party, even though it's not really counted in here. Yeah, we had the Melfest weekend pre-party, and I was actually there. I bought a ticket, but for some reason the ticket didn't work, and then I went there and I bought a cheaper ticket for some reason. They were selling tickets cheaper with walk-in, which is very bizarre. But yeah, I actually went to this pre-party. I actually got selfies with several of the artists, and also Philip Baloch actually, so that was very cool. I also met Lucas from Germany. He's a Eurofan who also came here to Stockholm to watch Melfest, and yeah, I got a photo with him as well, so that's really cool. But yeah, that's basically it for our last episode of Review and Preview. I can talk about more of these pre-parties, but I'll be honest, I don't think anyone is really watching these for this. But yeah, those are our last national finals of the 2024 season, and I hope you enjoyed my little impromptu recap series of all these national finals. So before we go, let's look at the odds that are currently ongoing for Eurovision 2024. Alright, these are the odds of Eurovision 2024 as of the 9th of March 2024. We are just about 2 months away from the competition, and here's what the odds look like. Now, starting from the bottom, we have Czechia, presumably because of their poor live performance earlier in the season, but there is a revamp. I've heard that the song has been extended as well, so it's also got a new music video, so that's going to be interesting, and I think that will probably raise it a little bit. It's also been announced that the staging director is exactly the same as the last 2 years, and in my opinion, those two stagings were very, very good, so we can probably expect something very good for ICO as well. And then after that, we have Malta, Moldova, and San Marino, all three small countries, and I think they're pretty appropriate to be down here, because remember, these aren't like general odds, these are like winning odds, right? So this is basically predicting whether these countries will win, and I think it's fair to say they probably won't. And then after that, we have Tali, who I think is deservedly down here, as is Germany. And then we have Latvia, who I still think can qualify, but in terms of winning, I do agree that it's probably not a winner. But I do think this can qualify. Now, for some reason, this hasn't updated with Portugal yet, but we've got Yolanda with Grito. And I think once once people putting odds on the bookmakers have caught wind of this, I think Portugal will probably go up, because it's, again, a very powerful performance, a very good song. But yeah, this is just here for now, I think, just because of their kind of unknown quality. And this is one that I'm kind of confused about. Why is Slovenia all the way down here? I'm not really sure. Maybe it's just because of their past reputation as Slovenia. No offense, but yeah, I think that's probably why. But otherwise, I don't really get it, because the song is solid. Raven's a great performer. She's got great live vocals and everything. So yeah, I don't know why Slovenia is all the way down here. And then above that, we have Spain, who, again, in terms of winning, I would say that's pretty fair. Although I think this could be like top 10 or something like that. I don't know that for sure, but it could happen. And then we have Poland, who I think are like pretty much 100% qualifying. They've got all of the diaspora countries, if you will. And so I think it's very clear that they will qualify, but whether Luna will break the top 10 remains to be seen. And then in the 26th, we have Estonia. Again, they're not really winning the contest, because the jury isn't going to mark this particularly well. I could say the same for a lot of these, but I would note that Albania has risen from the bottom all the way up to 23rd after just the name announcement of the revamp. It's called Titan now instead of Zemrendor. So Yeah, I don't know why they've raised it so much just because of the name change, but yeah, we'll have to see what the song sounds like because from what I've heard, it's pretty much an entirely different song now. So yeah, that's Albania. And then after Albania, we have theoretically the arch nemesis of Albania, which is Serbia, and I think that's pretty fair. Again, it's a slower song. In the final, it might not stand out as much, so I think it's fair to say it's not really winning. And then we have Australia, which is interesting because I'm not really sure. I think this is really an unknown quantity, and because I've heard so many different statements about the song, I don't know what's true and what's not. But some people say it's giving Eurovision You Decide, like the British national final from years ago. Some people say it's Kino mixed with something else I can't remember. But yeah, it's a very I guess divisive isn't really the word, but it's a bit of an unknown quantity. So yeah, maybe that's a fair placement. I would personally probably put them a bit lower because a lot of people, regardless of their opinion on the song, they do agree that it's probably worse than 2000 and whatever. But yeah, that is Australia in 21st place. I don't think they should be that high, nor do I think Finland should be that high because, according to my knowledge of Eurovision rules, at least, pyro has to come from the officially sanctioned front cannons, basically. And so because of this, I think they're probably not going to be allowed to do that whole underpants on fire thing, and so it's gonna make the whole thing a lot less effective and even might not qualify at all. That's just my guess, but yeah, I definitely it's not winning because the jury will not give this any points whatsoever. And then we have Azerbaijan. They've been in this location roughly this whole time now. I'm not sure what's up with that, but yeah, that's Azerbaijan. I don't have any comments on that. And then we have Ireland, who Bambi Thug actually recently posted a music video for Doomsday Blue, and it shows that they have a very good idea of what they want artistically, and so I think I really trust them to have a powerful and impactful and stand out-ish staging in Malmö, and so yeah, we'll have to see what happens, and let's just hope that RTE can give Bambi Thug a sufficient budget to realize what they want to do. And then after that, we have Armenia. I think they've been here for a while now, so again, not much to say, although I think once the song releases, this could probably go higher. In fact, you can see here in a lot of these bookmakers, they have already gone above Iceland, and this drop isn't because of nothing. Well, obviously, it's because Hedda Björk was selected as Sumva captain, and then people realized, wait, they didn't select the Palestinian, and then immediately they just started betting on other countries in favor, like against Iceland. But above Iceland, I would say there's a severely underrated country, and that is Norway. Like, honestly, at this point in time, if you ask me who's winning Eurovision, I would honestly say Norway is in the conversation. Like yesterday, they were at the pre-party, unfortunately, before I arrived. But the crowd just went wild. They had an amazing live performance. I managed to catch Gorta right before they left, and I got a selfie with Gunhild, the lead singer. But yeah, from what I understand, the crowd went wild for Gorta. They've been named pretty much the best live band in Norway, and that's for good reason, you know. So I would say Norway is definitely underrated here, as are Greece. I think Marina Sati is really, really experienced in her art, and I think she has a very clear idea of what she wants to achieve with with this kind of stuff, and I think she knows like what she wants to do, and I think it would be very effective on stage. And so I think once we get a little bit more staging information, perhaps we can possibly put Greece into the winning conversation as well. And then after that, we have the UK, where we have Ollie Alexander with the song Dizzy. And I think it's actually quite a sensible position. Like, I think at this point in time, the UK could still break into the top 10. But the song didn't even chart that highly in the UK. Despite the intention that the delegation was trying to maybe get another number one hit in the UK, it only debuted, I think, at like 40 something in the UK charts. So yeah. It's not as much of a hit as people expected it to be, perhaps, and so I think that might be impacting it a little. But still, at this point in time, I think this could still break into the top 10, and with a good artistic direction, this could possibly break into the top 5 as well. Actually, I've heard this year that Dan Shipton is not staging the UK, so I think presumably Ollie has gotten his own team to stage a song, perhaps. So this could go higher, but right now I would say it's fine where it is. Above the UK, we have Lithuania. That's some twink on twink action right there, but that aside, I think compared to last time we looked at the odds, this is probably a bit more appropriate, I would say, or even lower, at least in my opinion. But Sylvester Bell with Look Delk. I don't understand the initial hype over it. I think it's still really high in the Eurovision scoreboard app, but I don't understand the hype. So yeah, I think having lowered it down here makes a bit more sense. So yeah, that's Lithuania at 12th place. I think that kind of makes sense, or in my opinion could even go lower, but we'll see where things go, how things pan out. And then in 11th, we have Austria, who I think are very, very overrated. I haven't heard the full song We Will Rave, but I did hear a significant portion of it while I was at the pre-party yesterday, after all the artists had performed their songs. The DJ put on some of the songs from this year as well. And one of the songs was We Will Rave, and so I vaguely know how it goes, and I think it really kind of harkens back to the early 2010s, maybe late 2000s camp era EDM, and that's all I have to say about that. To me, at least from my understanding of it, it just sounds really dated, and we all know that Marvin Dietman does not know how to make a Eurovision entry actually look like what the singers intended it to look like. Marvin Dietman always makes the staging like overly serious, and so I think he's probably not going to be able to maximize the campness of the entry, and so I really don't think it's going to be that high. Will it qualify? Maybe, but I really don't think it's going to be one of those songs fighting for the win, contrary to some people's beliefs. So above that, rather confusingly, I would say, we have Georgia. I don't know how this made it up here, considering we don't know anything about the song. We only know it's called Firefighter. It's being sung by Nutsa Budzaladze, who has a very good vocal, in fact. But that's pretty much all we know about it. We don't know anything about the song, so I'm not really sure how this made it up here. And, Georgia being Georgia, it's kind of hard to get people to vote for them anyway. So, yeah, I wouldn't say I would agree with that position. I think they would probably be a little bit lower in the actual contest, but hey, you never know. Maybe this is the year that Georgia and Latvia both qualify for the final after years of not doing that. After that, we have France. I think that's actually a pretty fair position. It's a conventional ballad, like a conventional pop ballad. But other than that, I would say it's actually pretty appropriately here. It's going to get a good mark from the jury and not so good mark from the public, and that balances out, and we'll get a ninth place or maybe slightly higher. So yeah, I think that position makes sense. Okay, let's move on to Sweden. I don't think they're going to be that high. I mean, they're going to get a good jury mark because it's Sweden, but I don't think the public are going to really care too much for this entry. So, yeah, I wouldn't put them this high. Maybe like 10 for 11th personally, but who knows. Above that, Belgium. I would put them higher personally. I would say right now, as things stand, to me, the four songs that could compete for the win are Norway, Belgium, Switzerland, and Croatia. I think we'll have one of those four countries win. And so I think those four should be the kind of top four. And so that's why I think Belgium should be higher. The song is like really epic sounding, and Musti clearly has a very good idea of what he wants in terms of an artistic vision, and he's a good singer as well. So I think this really could strike a mark with everyone really, both the jury and the televote. So I think this could do very, very well in Malmö. But yeah, I think this should be higher. But I think being in top 10 is a good enough achievement for Belgium in the last few years. So with that said, let's go from Belgium to their good neighbor, Netherlands. Now, some of you might be surprised to see the Netherlands way up here. I think last time I reviewed it, they were only down around 15th or maybe even lower than that. But Europapa or Europapa has become a massive hit across Europe. It's gotten tens of thousands of people seeing it on Twitter. Like one tweet was just sharing the song and it got like tens of thousands of likes, and yeah, it's just gone viral all over Europe, all over Western Europe at least. And yeah, this could have the chance of like eating up the entire televote that were supposed to go to say Finland or Estonia, but we'll have to see what happens for sure, how they stage the song. But yeah, at this point in time, I can't rule this out. I could see this winning the televote, or at least coming top 3 in the televote in the grand final. So yeah, this has become a massive hit. I think this has a very good chance of doing top 5. So yeah, I would say that's actually a pretty reasonable placement. After that, we have Italy, which I'm not sure why they're this high. Maybe it's just because it's Italy. But yeah, I would say it's a bit too high. Maybe I would put them around like 5th to 10th or something like that, or 6th to 10th rather. So yeah, I would say that's a bit too high. People are probably overrating it a little bit because it's Italy. But yeah, I don't think they should be this high. But yeah, that's about it for Italy. I think it's a good song. I think I read recently that they plan to keep it entirely in Italian, which is good. But I don't know how they're going to do the staging for this, because I have not read any mention of potential dancers, and definitely she didn't really even perform with dancers at San Remo, which you can do, by the way, because Mahmoud clearly did that, but she didn't do that, and I don't know whether she would do that for Eurovision. So yeah, I'm not sure why Italy is up this high, but yeah, there you go. And then after that, we have Switzerland. Now, this is very interesting. Again, I haven't listened to the full song, but this was also played at the pre-party yesterday, at the Melfest weekend pre-party, and I think I've got a vague idea of what it sounds like now, and it's basically like drum and bass, and as ESC Tom calls it, popera. That is pop and then opera, and also rap, by the way. So it's big mix of everything. And ESC Tom actually also mentioned that if he closes his eyes, who does he see on that stage holding the trophy? He sees Nemo. And so I think this could be a good sign. And actually, one thing that's interesting is that this year, the staging isn't just being done by Sasha Jean-Baptiste as they usually do. Actually, Nemo posted a selfie of them with one of the team members of UMK. It sounds a little bit weird, but yeah, they actually took a selfie with one of the team members who do the staging at UMK. Although I have to say UMK staging can be kind of questionable at times, but still they have great artistic vision, especially in like music videos and such. So yeah, I think that could be very interesting. And they're also working with another stage director who actually did the staging for none other than Heroes. So that is a pretty big name. So we have the stage director for Heroes, one team member from UMK, and Sasha Jean-Baptiste. So this could be something really, really big. And I think this position is pretty justified, if not a bit higher, if not supposed to be a bit higher, because I'm not sure why Ukraine is up here. This just seems to be a uniquely bookmaker thing. I don't think a lot of people really rate this like a potential winner, to be honest. Like when we're talking about winner conversations at this point in time, most people aren't really looking out for Ukraine. So yeah, I'm not really sure why Ukraine is up in second place. But I mean, Ukraine can pull off good staging, so they could absolutely win the whole thing. But at this point in time, I wouldn't put them as a potential winner. Who I can put as a potential winner, however, is Croatia. They've got a very catchy song, a very powerful performer, and a great stage show that they showed off at Dora. And yeah, this could absolutely win. This, like Urho Papa, has also been very popular across many parts of Europe, especially the Balkans, of course. But yeah, we'll have to see how things pan out. I think this could absolutely win. And it would be very interesting in terms of like winning country diversity to have Croatia win for the first time under their own flag. Because, of course, they did win as part of Yugoslavia. The winner was actually a Croatian band, I believe, when Yugoslavia won. But this could be the first time Croatia wins with their own flag, and that would be very, very interesting. But yeah, for the time being, if you ask me who's going to win Eurovision 2024, I would say it's between Croatia, Switzerland, Belgium, and Norway. So those four are the ones that I think are the most likely to win. But yeah, that's just my opinion. And that's the end of my little series reviewing the national finals of Eurovision 2024. Next time you see this series, it will probably be next year, or at least December of this year. So with that said, thank you for watching. Like this video if you did enjoy the video. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss my future videos, including my vlog here in Stockholm. And I'll see you next time.